Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Saratoga Racecourse here on Wednesday. It is the 23rd of August, 2023. Going to look at all the races here on the Travers Week beginning card of the week card from Saratoga. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5 for more selections for race courses around the world. And I mean around the world, some great racing. Remember to join me for my York preview today with the Juddmonte International. Going to look at those stakes races there and throughout the week from York for that Ebor meeting. Also, we have some some group racing, not Group 1, but group racing from France this weekend. So join for that. And here stateside, of course, we have the Charles Southern Classic on Friday night. And Saturday, we have the Travers, so it's a good weekend of racing. Starts today with the Saratoga program, which is a very good card. So let's get to it right now. Let's look at all the races. Starting off with the first one, it's over the jumps. It's the Jonathan Sheppard Handicap. It's a Grade 1 event going for a $150,000 purse. Races for 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a field here of, let's see, field 10 horses going the distance of ground of 3,800 meters or 2 miles and 3/8 over the hurdles course, which is also the inner turf course. I'm going to take as a top selection here the number 9 horse McTeague as a top selection. 9-2-4-5 for me in the superfecta. 9-2-4-5 super. Top selection 9 horse McTeague. This 4-year-old gelding by Frashkis here. Sarah Murphy trains, gets Gelligan up in the saddle. The horse's most recent outing came the 2nd of August here at Saratoga. 2 miles and a 16th in Jonathan Kaiser novice, and he won by 3 3/4 lengths that day. He stalked most of the race. He got into a good rhythm jumping. When he quickened up with the long running, he kept going. That was a very good race. He is stepping up against some slightly better horses here today, but I think he has some hidden class from the UK that could definitely win against these horses, and I think he'd get a good trip and win. 2 back, he ran in Virginia on the 6th of May, 2 miles and 8th in a conditional hurdle, and he finished 2nd by 20 lengths, but was placed first due to disqualification because the winner just went off that day. But the winner, other than that slight mistake, ran terrifically. This horse just kind of jumped along. He needed the race that day, but he ran his heart out that day. But he got beat by many open lengths and was farther back from the other two. But for his North America debut, I didn't think it was a half bad race. Prior to that, he ran the Boodles handicap hurdle at Cheltenham during the festival, 2 miles 16th, 14th of March, and he just never really got going. He hit the wall, pulled up out of it, lost shooter in running. It wasn't his day to win there. And then a Class 2 handicap at Kelso, 2 miles 4th of March up in Scotland. He finished 13th by 72 1/4 lengths that day, and he just walked under the line. I do think the very soft ground in spots really got to him. It got to him in Ireland before that on Boxing Day, where he never really got going. He ran at Auteuil in France in the big group 1 over the Grade 1 over the hurdles in November, where he just never got into it. He won on demanding ground at Auteuil in Paris in October, going away quite nicely, but he wants to see fast ground like he saw at Sedfield last September, where he won going away in that main hurdle. If he's going to see it today, he should get a good forwardly paced trip. It wouldn't surprise me if he walks here. I'm going to use him on the ticket. I think his second likeliest one is the 2 horse Jimmy P. Danny Mullins is on this one. Most recently down in Nashville in a handicap hurdle. He won by 10.5 lengths that day over the mile 6 furlongs. He took off clear. That was a smooth, easy railing trip. Prior to that in a handicap hurdle, he finished 4th by 4 1/4 lengths, and he never really got going. And then in Akin down the south in a 2 mile and 8th handicap hurdle, finished 4th by 11 1/4 lengths. Again, never really gotten going. But if you look at some of the races, he has hidden form that could definitely win here. Off the bench at 6-1, I'll give him a shot here on the ticket. But to recount my selection for the opener from Saratoga now, it is the Jonathan Sheppard handicap. Gonna take the number. Where are we? I'm gonna go take the number 9 horse here, McTeague. Give kudos to the 2 horse Jimmy P. 9-2-4-5 super. 9-2 in your multi race. The beginning of the pick 5, the second race from Saratoga. It is a claiming event going for a $55,000 purse race for 4-year-olds and upwards, state breds. Going for the claiming price $25,000. We have a field of 7 horses going 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs on the main track. I'm going to take as a top selection a 5 horse Bronx Bomber. Let's go 5-3-4-6 in the superfecta. 5-3-4-6 super. Top selection of 5 horse Bronx Bomber. This 7-year-old gelding by Take Charge Indy. American 10 Karamachi trains. Manny Franco gets the mount. The horse's most recent ad came 3rd of June at Belmont, 6 furlongs and claiming 25, and he finished 4th by 8 1/4 lengths that day. I don't know if the inside was, the best that day. He got to the inside, then turned wide, but then he just, he looked like he was never getting going that day. He's coming off a bench to Saratoga where he's never won, but he's run these sneaky good races. I'm going to give him a shot to really run a good race. Back to state Brett also should suit him well. He was running in an open company his last few. Two back in an open company, claiming 25 at Aqueduct, 6.5 in late April. He finished third by 7.5 lengths that day, and he broke on top. He was a little bit wide. He got overtaken late, got beat by slightly better horses, but he ran his heart out that day. And then in early April at Aqueduct in the mud, 6 furlongs, claiming 25 state breds. He finished third by 3 3/4 lengths that day. He was a little bit wide, and he just kind of hit the wall that day. And then mid-March on the slop at Aqueduct, going 6 and claiming 25. He finished third by 3 lengths that day. Again, a little bit wide, and just never really got going. His most recent win in claiming 16 in early February, going 3/4 at Aqueduct, winning by 3 1/4 lengths in the front end. If he runs that race, he could definitely win against these horses here today. His races last summer here, I had a great place last September in a claiming 20. Before that, a decent fourth where he's just a little bit too wide, going 3/4 and an option 45 last year. Back to stakes breds, training well, off the bench. I think he's a very live horse here. I think the 3-horse bust and shout for Bruce Levine and Kendrick Carmouche could win. Most recently here in a claiming 16 a few weeks ago on opening weekend, he won by 3 lengths that day, and he really took off clear coming from off the pace. A very nice strong run for this horse. Prior to that, they took the horse to the Finger Lakes, 6 furlongs and optional 15, back to dirt. He finished second by 2 lengths. He needed a little bit more, but late. But he really, he was really gaining in the final few strides of the race. They tried him on turf where he was running against slightly better horses, but coming here to dirt again. Back to state breds and claiming 25, he could definitely win. Let's use him in the early pick 4. Even the 4-horse Perfect Munnings, he hasn't been seen since the Alex Robb at Aqueduct in the fall, where he just never really got going. Since then, he's under the care of Linda Rice. Back to Saratoga, where the horse has run very well in the past. He could definitely win also, but it does scare me that he's running from allowance races, the 2 state bred stakes races now all the way down to a claiming 25. That slightly scares me, but he could win also, but I do prefer the other 2 before him. I think they'll be slightly fresher. But to recap my selection for the second from Saratoga, gonna take the 5-horse Bronx Bomber, give kudos to the 3-horse Bust and Shout and the 4-horse Perfect Munnings. 5-3-4-6 Super, 5-3-4 in your multi-race. Third race from Saratoga. It's the first flat turf race of the week. It is an allowance optional claimer purse, $162,500. Race for 3-year-olds and upwards. Number 1, 18,000 3 times. Main claim state bred. Blah 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 blah. Optional claim price $80,000. We have a field of a field of 11 horses entered. The 9 and 1X are both MTOs. So we'll have a field of 9 horses heading to the inner turf course, to the Mellon turf course, the distance of ground of 1,100 meters or 5.5 furlongs on that Mellon turf course. Both turf courses this weekend, the rails will be down, so they'll be running against the hedge at the 0 rail setting. So speed on the inside might really hold up. With that being said, I'm going to take the number 3 horse here, High Front. I'm going to go 3-7-8-4 in the superfecta. 3-7-8-4 super, top selection of 3-horse High Front. This 4-year-old given by Summerfront. Christophe Clement trains. Iratatisse Jr. gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came in the in a black type turf sprint at Canterbury, 5 furlongs 21st of June. He won by 2 lengths that day. He didn't get out of the gate so clearly, but he sat back most of the race. He really had a good pace to close up to. When he quickened up, he went away with it with a 95 bar. That was a very strong run. Coming to the new connections here today, has some forwardly pace or come from behind, but I think with a good inside poster, he could get to the front end to the good position, and I think his speed could go all the way, and I think he could really run a good race and win today from that inside poster. But he's a versatile type in the spot. 2 back in the allowance race, 130,000 at Churchill, 5.5 in mid-May. He won by a nose that day, and from the inside, he was with them early on. He got to the front end, and he got the job done. He was kind of decreased margin victory late, but he grinded it out there. And then first off, the 11-month refreshing at Keeneland, 5.5 in allowance race, 108,000. He finished second by a nose. He stalked. He had the lead. He got caught. What can he do? He needed the race there. It was his first race since the Paradise Creek of 2022 at Belmont over the 7/8, where he finished fourth by 4 1/4 lengths that day. He was just wide, needs something more. Keep in mind, Big Invasion, who I believe is Clement horse won that day and was the next star winner, I believe, here at Saratoga in like the quick call or something like that. But like I said, this horse has a lot of speed. He's training well since the last race, drawn well. At 2-1, I think he could win. I think the 7 horse Jackson Traveler back to turf off the bench could win also for Flavien Prat. Hasn't been seen since the Dave's friend in late December at Laurel with 6 furlongs on dirt, where he finished 7 by 18 lengths that day, and he was just wide, not really showing up that day. He ran the fall highweight handicap before that at Aqueduct over the 6 furlongs in late November, where he finished 4th by half length, carrying 131 pounds. He had the lead at the top of the lane and into mid-stretch, but then he just completely crumbled. I do think the high weight got to him that day, and then the Bold Ruler handicap finished 8th by 10.5 lengths that day, and he never really got going. He is a Maryland bred, and he loves running a Maryland. He won the Maryland Sprint last year, Pimlico weekend, came back to have a very good place at Pimlico after that in the light diffuse, and then he kind of went a little backwards at that Laurel race last time out. But something he also likes doing, and it's a little bit few and far between, when he runs in turf sprints, he hasn't won them, but he always runs these sneaky good races. He has a lot of speed here. He's coming off the bench, so it wouldn't surprise me if he gets a good trip here and wins. I'm going to use him as a price here at 12-1, and a horse I keep picking, the 8 horse Thin White Duke. I picked him in the Troy, he lost. I picked him in that optional 80 opening weekend, he lost. Picked him at Belmont July 4th, definitely, and he finished second. He ran a good race there. And then the Jaipur, I said I'm not going to pick him. He didn't win. He didn't finish. He finished 4th in elusive quality. He seems like the horse I always pick him, and he never wins. It wouldn't surprise me here if he wins, because he'll see a lot of a strong pace, and I think he could close into that pace. He has buyers that definitely can win against these horses. He hasn't won since last October at Aqueduct, where he won quite nicely by half a length. He won last year in the Lucky Coin on this turf course, beating Dancing Buck. I'll give him a shot here. He's, like I said, he's another horse. He's only won once in this turf course, but he runs these sneaky good races locally. Well, let's give him a shot here. Let's see. I think this is his 6th start of the season. It's probably the 5th time I bet him this year. I have him on a ticket, I know. But to recap my selection for the 3rd from Saratoga, I'm going to take the 3-horse High Front, give kudos to the 7-horse Jackson Traveler, and also Thin White Duke. I'm the president of the Thin White Duke fan club for this horse, I guess. 3784 Super, 378 in your multi-race. Let's get to the 4th race from Saratoga now, which is the maiden special weight purse, $88,000, race for maidens 3-year-olds and upwards, state-breds. We have a field of 13 horses entered, 11, 12, 13 are MTOs, 10 will head 1,700 meters or the mile 16th trip on the inner turf. My top selection, I'm going to go take the 6-horse Tonio, 6159 for me in the superfecta. 6159 super, top selection 6-horse Tonio. This 3-year-old gelding by Loban here. David Donk trains. Kendra Carmouche gets the mount. Most recently on the 21st July, 1 mile off the turf on the Wilson Mile in a main special weight for 88,000. Put an X through that race. He's run twice on turf. They've been subpar races. He finished 6 by 14 3/4 lengths. He didn't break so well. He was wide, and he's just not a dirt horse. Just look at both of the races he started on dirt getting out the gate. Just doesn't like it. Back to the green stuff. When he was on the green stuff, he was really improving a lot. Coming here on this turf course could be forwardly paced with a good inside post draw. I think he's in a better spot to win. 2 back in the main special at Belmont, 1 mile on the wide, or 23rd June. He finished 3rd by a neck that day. He was a little bit wide that day early on. Then he got to the inside. He closed up well. He just missed late, but he really ran his heart out with a good 70 buyer late. And then prior to that, about a mile and 1/8 on the 1st of June at Belmont in main special weight, he finished 3rd by 1 3/4 lengths. He closed into a very slow pace that day, but I thought he had a decent race there. And then early May at Belmont, 1 mile in the main special weight, he finished 4th by 3 1/4 lengths that day. He was with them early on. He just kind of hit the wall late, but he ran his heart out. He's, like I said, when he's been on the green stuff, he's really been improving throughout that last race, because he's not a dirt horse. If you just watch the replays of him getting out of the gate, you notice he's not a dirt horse. But coming here today, I think he's loaded. I think the 1-horse Mission Hill for Bill Monjo or Rosario could win. He ran the Wilson Mile last time out on the 21st of July in that main special weight, where he finished 2nd by 2 3/4 lengths, and he just kind of stalked that day. Didn't get out of the gate so clearly. Had a little bit troubled trip late. Again, another horse I think he should do better coming to the turf, and he should show some further pace. I think his first race ever on the 25th of June, 6 furlongs inner at Belmont in the main special weight. He finished 6 by 4 1/4 lengths. He was just a little bit wide that day, and I do think he got beat by slightly classier horses over the sprinting trip. I do think he wants to go routing back to the green stuff. He could win. Even the 1-horse slap in the face for Anthony Dutcher Metro and Manny Franco. He hasn't been seen since the 1st of June at Belmont, going a mile and eighth in that main special where he finished second by 3/4 length. Tonio finished third. This horse absolutely closed up from nowhere from a wide trip to get the second. I didn't think it was a half bad race there. His debut at Aqueduct last fall, he was just very, very wide, which cost him. But he's another horse training well. Oscar Performance won on this turf course. His sire. I'll give this horse a shot on the ticket. But to recount my selection, this very nice 4th race from Saratoga, gonna take the 6-horse Tonio, give kudos to the 1-horse Mission Hill, and the 5-horse Slap in the Face, 6159 Super, 615 in the multi-race. Let's get to the 5th race from Saratoga, which is an allowance race, purse $95,000, race fillies, mares, 3-year-olds and upward statebreds here. We have a field of 7 horses going 1,600 meters, or the Wilson Mile here at Saratoga. I'm going to take the 3-horse Disruption as a top selection. Let's go 3-1A-4-7 in the superfecta, 3-1A-4-7 super. Top selection, a single in the multi-race for me would be the 3-horse Disruption. 3-year-old filly by Practical Joke, Chad Brown trains, Irad Cheese Jr. gets the mount. First off the bench, most recent outing came 9th of July, Belmont closing day. 6 furlongs and allowance race, $80,000 for statebreds. He finished 6th by 14.5 lengths that day, and it was just wide and just didn't really show up. I do think second off back to routing trip and getting blinkers on, all these above, Chad Brown has good numbers with. I think the horse could really get back to the winning ways and finally get that second victor. Before that, the horse ran the 4th of December at Aqueduct, 6 furlongs in the mud and option 50. He finished 5th by 8 lengths that day, and he was just wide, just not really getting going that day. And then a main special weight at Aqueduct right before Halloween, 6 furlongs in that main special weight. He won by 2.5 lengths. He was a little bit wide that day, but when he got the lead, he kept going. He had to be used a lot that day, but it was a very good, strong run. And last September at Aqueduct on a good main track, 6 furlongs in the main special weight. He finished second by 4.5 lengths that day. Not the best beginnings, but he was really gaining late. He's training well. I think this horse should benefit from some extra, real estate, drawn well. I think he's a very likely winner. I'm going to single him in the pick 4, in the pick 5, whatever you decide to play. Pick 6 begins with this race. Definitely single him there. But to recap my selection for the 5th from Saratoga, going to take the 3-horse Disruption. Let's go 3-1A-4-7 super. Single 3 in the multi-race. So that was the first 5. Let's get to the late pick 5, beginning with race number 6 from Saratoga. The 6th event, it is a maiden special weight, purse $88,000, race for maidens 2-year-olds here, statebreds. We have a field of 10 horses going 1,400 meters or 7 furlongs on the main track. Going to take the 2-horse Benzadini as a top selection. Let's go 2-3-5-4 in the superfecta. 2-3-5-4 super, top selection of 2-horse Benzadini, 2-year-old Colt by Bernardini here. Steve Asmussen trains. Tyler Gaffleone gets them out. First time starter here, and the Asmussen first time starters this season haven't been running that good. He had a good one that ran Saturday here, what day was it? Saturday, here we go. And one of the races, was it the first race that he had the winner? I'll tell you right now. Then you have Risk in the first race. That was a great horse. I think that was one of only like 3 first-time starters he's had that won so far this year for 2-year-olds. But other than that, they haven't been running so good. But I think this horse could, add to the number of him getting these first-time starters getting to the wire first. And by the way, hopefully they run that horse Risk It first next start out in the hopeful maybe in the next few weeks, or maybe even something like the race at Churchill that the mile 16th one in mid next month. But but that's for another day. But back to Benzadini. First time starter here. Most recent workout came last Tuesday, a half mile from the gate, 48.4, the 11th best workout, 34. And then from the gate at the training track at Belmont, 5/8 and 102 flat, third best workout, 7. And a 5 furlong on the Belmont main track in 102 and 4/5 of a second, the 5th best workout, 7. I like that they've been very aggressive with this horse, taking to the gate every other workout. Coming here today, he gets a good inside posture going 7. He has the option. He can go to the running, go to the front, he can sit a little bit back. I'm going to expect him to really run a good race. I'm going to use him here. I think Mischief Joke might get a little over bet here. He's making his 5th start in his short career, and he's definitely been improving, but he's just not winning, but he is getting closer. Most recently going 3/4 in the main special weight. He finished second by a head, and he just missed late, but he really ran his heart out, closing up from nowhere. Prior to that, going 5 furlongs at Belmont in a state-bred main special weight. He finished second by 2.5 lengths. The winner had the jump on him late, but again, he closed up well there. And then he lost all chance beginning going up Belmont in mid-May, going 5 furlongs in the main special weight. He finished third by 6.5 lengths again. Never really got out of the gate so clearly, but he's been improving. He's training well since the last race. He could definitely win. And the 5-horse Dixie Farrow for Dylan Davis and Ray Handel. This horse started here opening week on the slop, going 5.5 in the main special weight, where he finished fourth by 3 lengths that day. Again, he was closing up well late. I didn't think it was a half bad event. Since then, he's had some very nice workouts. I would give this horse a shot on the ticket, but I do think the other two are slightly classier than him. But 10 off this pick 5, I think you want to go a little deep in this 2-year-old race. But to recount my selection for the 6 from Saratoga, going to take the 2-horse Benzadini, give kudos to the 3-horse Mischief Joke and the 5-horse Dixie Farrow. 2-3-5-4 Super, 2-3-5 in the multi-race. The featured 7th race now from Saratoga, the beginning of the late pick 4. It is the John's Call Stakes. It's going for a purse of $135,000. Races for 4-year-olds and upwards. Never won a Grade 1 or Grade 2 sweepstakes on the turf in 2023. We have a field of, a field of 10 horses entered. The 10 is an MTO, so 9 will head to the Mellon Turf Course, the distance of ground of 2,600 meters or mile and 5/8 on the Saratoga Mellon Turf Course. Years ago, they used to have the Seneca Handicap, which used to be always a mile 5/8 on this turf course, and then they put it on hiatus, and then about 20 years ago, I think they started running the John's Call, and it's always a good race. When it's run on turf, it seems like the last few seasons it's been mostly run on dirt because off the turf, but hopefully they can run it this year on turf. With that being said, I like the 8-horse Side Dog. I'm going to go 8-1-4-5 in the superfecta, 8-1-4-5 super. Top selection 8-horse Side Dog. This 4-year-old colt by Slumber here. Grab Motion trains this one. Manny Franco gets the mount. Horse's most recent appearance came 3rd of August at Colonial. Mile 8th on the inner and optional 100 claimer, and he finished 3rd by 1 3/4 lengths. The winner was dead heated that day. Really ran terrific race each of them. This horse, he didn't run half bad either. He sat mid-pack most race. He was closing up well late. If the race was a mile 3/16, he probably would have won, but he ran his heart out second off the bench. First off, he ran on the 4th of July at Belmont on a yielding Widener turf course, optional 80 claimer. He finished 6th by 8 1/4 lengths. Portfolio company for Chad Brown really took off clear. This horse just never was really showing up. The turf courses were rock hard fast up until that final week at Belmont. That's when the rains finally came, and they made him just a little bit weird. Horses just weren't handling him. This horse definitely wasn't handling it there. Also, it was his first start since the Saratoga Derby of 2022 here at Saratoga over the mile 3/16, where he finished 4th by 2 3/4 lengths. He wasn't closing into that pedestrian pace. He was just a little bit wide and just never really got going. And then ran the Belmont Derby prior to that over the mile 1/4 at Belmont. Off the bench, he finished 6th by 1.5 lengths. He was a little bit wide. And again, Nation's Classic Causeway walked that day. Nation's Pride went on to win next start out in the Saratoga Derby, went on to win next start out in the Jockey Club Derby. But this horse just, he really couldn't get the good trip there. He hasn't won since the Transylvania 2022 at Keeneland over the mile 16th, where he won by 3/4 length, closing up from nowhere. He won the Central Park in the fall of 2021 at Aqueduct also. He could definitely win. I like him over the longer trip for the first time. I think your second likeliest winner also is the number 1 horse, Good Skate, a horse I remember seeing every other week. Seemed at Aqueduct. He actually won going a mile and a quarter on the dirt at Aqueduct at the end of February quite nicely by 3 1/4 lengths walking the dog. Nearly won going a mile 3/8 after that, but locally owned closed up from nowhere to get the job done. He hasn't seen the winner's circle since mid-February at Aqueduct, but since coming on the green stuff last time out, he's really run these good races. If he gets it closer from the inside poster, I think that should suit him well. I'll give him a shot here on the ticket. Getting IRAD is a very good jockey booking. He's 10-1 on the morning line, but I think you'll see half of that at post. And also, watch out for the 4-horse Pioneering Spirit for Linda Rice. Most recently here in late July, going a mile 3 furlongs and option 6-2. He won by 3 3/4 lengths that day and stalked a slow pace. When he got the lead, he really quickened up nicely. And then he won going a mile and a quarter in late June at Aqueduct at Belmont going away. He's a winner of his last 4. It took him a little bit of time to break the name, but when he finally did it, the wins have kept coming closer and closer together. Watch out for this horse making it 5 in a row, but I do prefer the other 2 before him. And also, one of these days, this win streak's going to end for him. But to recap my selection for the 7 from Saratoga, it is the John's Call. Going to take the 8-horse Side Dog. Give kudos to the 1-horse Good Skate and the 4-horse Pioneering Spirit. 8-1-4-5 Super, 8-1 in your multi-race. Let's take a quick break so I can get something to drink. Let's get to the 8th race now from Saratoga. I'm waiting for my sponsorship deal from Pellegrino or something like that, or for Perrier, from all the camera action I've been getting for the last 15 years doing these videos. But still waiting, because I go through cases of those a month. Let's get to the 8th race from Saratoga, which is a main claiming event going for a $52,000 purse. Races for mains 3-year-olds and upwards here, going for a $40,000 claiming price. We have a field of 16 horses entered. 13, 14, 15 are AEs, 16's an MTO, 12 ahead to the inner turf course, 1700 meters the trip, or that mile 16th trip on the inner turf course. My top selection, I'm going to take a shot with the 8 horse Be Well. I'm going to go 8, 10, 4, 11 in the superfecta. 8, 10, 4, 11 super. Top selection 8 horse Be Well. This 3-0 gelding by English Channel. Jack Sisterson trains. Trevor McCarthy gets the mount, blinkers on. Most recently, they ran the horse 28th of July here at Saratoga. Mile 3/8 on the inner and the main special weight for 105K. He didn't get going. He didn't stay the trip. He finished 10th by 27.5 lengths. He didn't break so well, and he just, like I said, just didn't stay the trip. Coming here down in class to a main 40, the lowest he's been in right now, back to a mile. I think he can get a good trip and win here today. Two back, he ran a main special weight at Indiana, 1 mile 17th of May. He finished 7 by 4 3/4 lengths that day. And again, he snapped back early. He moved a little bit late, but it wasn't anything to call home about there. And then a mile 3/16 at Keeneland, the main special weight. He finished 9th by 4 3/4 lengths. Again, very wide and just never really got going. That's a very tough race that he was facing against those horses. He ran okay before that in mid-March at Gulfstream, mile 8th in that main special weight, where he finished 4th by 1 1/4 lengths that day. He was a little bit wide that day, but, well, a lot bit wide, but he got around the race course well. And then at Gulfstream, 1 mile in the main special weight, he finished 3rd by length that day. He was a little bit wide, but again, he was closing up well late. But the winner, OK Bomber, was disqualified after the race. They gave this horse the purse money for second afterwards. And then his debut of the Tapeta, the 4 in front of him were much the best. This horse just needed the race for the experience, but he has speed figures that definitely can win against these horses. He'll be a little bit mid-pack, which I think should be good here. At 8-1, I'll use him on the ticket. The 10 horse Murfrey can win also for Safi Joseph and Luis Saez, coming off of a race on the Tapeta at Gulfstream over the mile 70 in Main 35, where he finished 5th by 2.5 lengths that day, and he didn't get out of the gate so clearly. Again, a little bit wide. He still needs something more, but I've seen worse race from him. Prior to that, on the turf at Gulfstream, 1 mile in the main 50,000, he finished 4th by 3/4 length that day. Again, stupidly wide that day, and he just couldn't change the leads, which cost him. But he ran his heart out there, and then main 25 at Gulfstream in a mile 16th, he finished 2nd by 3/4 length. Again, didn't change lead, which cost him. He got caught late drifting. But coming here, if he could change leads, he could definitely win. I'll give him a shot on the ticket. Even the 4 horse Rockstar Red for Linda Rice. They ran the horse on the slop over the Wilson Mile last time out, where he just never really got going. Back to the green stuff. If he could run a race like he did 2 back in the main 40, he could definitely win. Give him a shot here on this pick 4 ticket in this very wide open 8th race. But to recount my selection for the 8th from Saratoga, I'm going to take the 8 horse Be Well. Give kudos to the 10 horse Murfriff, and the 4 horse Rockstar Red. 8, 10, 4, 11 super. 8, 10, 4 in your multi-race. The 9th from Saratoga now. It's allowance optional claimer purse $100,000. Race for 3-year-olds and upwards state breds here. We have a field of, let's see, 10 horses going 1,400 meters or 7 furlongs on the main track. I'm going to go take the number 6 horse Radio Red. I'm going to go 6'10", 4-1 in the superfecta. 6'10", 4-1 super. Top selection 6 horse Radio Red. 3-year-old colt by the Big Beast. Danny Gargan trains. Joel Rosario gets the mount. Getting some class relief from his last race. That came to Mike Lee at Belmont. 7 furlongs on the 29th of May. He finished 2nd by 2.5 lengths. Maker's Candy really took off clear. This horse is wide that day and got heralded in the lane, and he just never really could get the good trip. Prior to that opening weekend at Belmont, 6.5 in Stapled Allowance race, he won by 3 1/4 lengths, definitely getting class relief from the previous race. He took off clear on the front end, a very good race. His previous race came to Gotham against Open Company at Belmont, at Aqueduct over the 1-turn mile. He had 13 of the rivals. He was breaking 14 of 14. He tried getting good position out of the gate, but it wasn't anything spectacular. He was stupidly wide, at the top lane. He was so wide he was in the casino at the top lane, it seemed. But, he just wasn't winning there. Raising Cane really ran a terrific race. And then early February at 6 furlongs in the main special weight at Aqueduct, he won by 4 1/4 lengths that day, and he really took off clear. Coming here to 7, he has some speed if he wants to use it, or he could lay off a little bit. Getting Rosario up, I think he's a very likely winner, and it wouldn't surprise me if the 10 horse Montebello for Luis Saez and Tom Pletcher wins. Has been seen since the Empire Classic, where he just didn't break so well and he just walked home that day. He maybe didn't get the mile in the 8th. Before that, over the mile in option 45, finished 6th and just never really got going. And then the Albany, he never really got going. But if he could run a race like he did in the Terra Nova Barn, he could definitely win. He won his final race in the Terra Nova Barn on 30th of June, going mile 16th, winning by a head on the front end. He really took off clear, and then he had a decent 5th before that at Belmont. He started his career off with Bob Baffert, broke his man in the summer of 2020 at Del Mar quite quite nicely. Came back to run a very good second, the funny side locally, and then came back to run a very good second, the Capote at Los Al as a 2-year-old. He hasn't won since last year as a 3-year-old, but I think back to a 7-furlong trip, it should suit him well. He's training well. Let's give him a shot on the ticket. I do think this horse will get a little bit overbet though. But to recap my selection for the 9th from Saratoga, I'm gonna take the 6-horse Radio Red. Give kudos to the 10-horse Montebello, 6'10", 4-1 Super, 6'10" in your multi-race. The 10th event from Saratoga now. It is a maiden claiming event going for a $52,000 purse. Race fillies, mares, 3-year-olds and upwards, going for $40,000 claim price. A dozen horses are going 1,100 meters or 5.5 furlongs on the Mellon Turf Course. Let's take the 11 horse, accept the outcome. I'm going to go 11.854 in the superfecta, 11.854 super. Top selection 11 horse, accept the outcome. 3-year-old filly by No Nay Never. Chad Brown trains. Iratis Jr. gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came in a main special at Belmont, 6 furlongs inner turf course, 10th of June. He finished 7 by 8 1/4 lengths that day, and he was just wide and never really got going. Stepping down in class, you don't want to be drawn 11 to 12, but I think from the outside poster, he's leaving. He should get good position, and I think he get a good tracking trip to win. But 11 hole is not ideal. 2 back at Aqueduct, 6 furlongs in the outer and the main special weight. He finished 2nd by 1 3/4 lengths that day. He was a little bit wide. He needed something more late on the front end, but again, he ran his heart out that day with a 67 career best buyer, and then they tried him in debut around 2 turns at Gulfstream, 7.5 in the main special weight. He finished 4th by 4.5 lengths that day. He wanted to go. Iratis didn't let him go. That cost him. He just never really got going late. But training well, off a little bit of refreshing. He could definitely win against these horses. I think the 8-horse can win also. Negra Gata for Michael Srambetta and Luis Saez. Most recently, Laurel going 5.5 in main special weight a few weeks ago. He finished 2nd by 3 lengths that day. And again, with that long stretch, I think it got to him that day. He just never really could get the good turn of foot. Prior to that, in the main special weight on the turf at Laurel, cutting back and trip, he finished 4th by 4 1/4 lengths again. It just took him a little bit too much to get to the good turn of foot there. And then they tried him routing before that at Pimlico off the bench, where he just never really got going. I do think another horse cutting back and trip down in class, he could win against these horses. Even the 5-horse Love Miami Love for Tyler Gaffalione nearly won main 50 at Laurel a few weeks ago. And the Gulfstream races, when he's sprinting, he definitely win. He has a good post draw. At 5-1, let's use him to end off these multi-race wagers. But to recap my selection for the Wednesday nightcap from Saratoga here on Travers Week, gonna take the 11-horse, accept the outcome. Give kudos to the 8-horse Negrogata and the 5-horse Love Miami Love. 11.854 super, 11.85 in your multi-race. So good luck to all. Remember to go check out my Juddmonte International preview here on YouTube from York, and also follow me all throughout the week for some more Saratoga previews, especially Saturday for my Travers preview, and join me for my Charlestown preview also this week for the Charlestown Classic on Friday. And remember to follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world. Good luck, everybody.